My name's Clara Renfield, and at 35, I thought I was finally stepping into the light I'd been chasing for years. The restaurant wasn't just a building to me, it was my heart carved into brick and mortar. Handwritten menus, playlists stitched from childhood memories, the lemon tart my brother used to beg me for when we were kids. Every detail was love made visible, and yet, on the night I threw open those doors, no one came. Not my father. Not my mother. Not even my brother, Adrian. Instead, my phone lit up with his Instagram story, a backyard barbecue, plastic chairs sinking into patchy grass, everyone I loved holding a cake that said "to bigger things." My dining room glowed like a cathedral. Their party glowed like a cheap lighter. And still, they chose him. When my father finally texted, "We need to talk about the restaurant," I knew what it meant. Not support. Not pride. Money. Control. Strings tied to my ribs, ready to be pulled. So I typed back a single sentence: "From this moment on, the restaurant is closed to family. No discounts. No exceptions," and that's when the war began. 20 minutes later, a knock rattled my back door. Adrian. Of course. Box of leftover cake in hand, cologne sharp enough to sting my eyes. "Thought you'd want a slice," he said, like nothing had happened. I didn't move. Didn't smile. "You skipped the biggest night of my life," I told him. He shrugged. Dad said it was just a soft launch. We didn't think it was that serious. Not serious? I had spent a decade scrubbing dishes in other people's kitchens, saving every coin, fighting to breathe life into this place. My dream was serious enough to break me, and still they dismissed it. I walked past him and tossed the cake into the dumpster. "People didn't get busy," I whispered. "They got lazy." Lazy enough to think I'd always be the backup plan. That night, I changed the locks. Not just at the restaurant. At my apartment. At every doorway they thought they owned. Because love isn't crashing on my couch. Love isn't borrowing my car. Love isn't using me until there's nothing left. Love shows up, and they didn't. The next morning, a sign appeared on my door: "Reservations only." Even if we share DNA. Someone snapped a photo. By nightfall, it was everywhere. Comments flooded in: "She's my hero." Boundaries taste better than betrayal. And my favorite: "Tell Adrian to choke on his own humble pie." For the first time in my life, strangers saw me clearer than my own family did, but freedom has a price. 2 days later, the smear campaign began. Fake Yelp reviews. 1-star bombs from names that weren't in my reservation book. Food was cold. Owner glared at us. Staff rude. Lies, carefully planted, and then Adrian's fiancée, Mara, showed up. No reservation. Just a trembling voice. "They made a group chat," she whispered. "Your dad, your mom, Adrian, even Aunt Jo. They called it Project Reset. The plan was to crush you, bad reviews, supplier sabotage, anything to make you sell." She slid her phone across the table. Proof. Screenshots. Messages. My mother's words carved into pixels: "She needs to be humbled." I should have shattered right there. But instead, I felt clean. Like fire had burned away the last illusions I was clinging to. By morning, the world knew. Headlines screamed: "Rising chef sabotaged by own family, proof leaked." Hashtags bloomed: #Stand with Clara. People who hadn't spoken to me in years came forward. She was always carrying them. They used her until she broke. Suddenly, I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I was a phoenix. The restaurant sold out reservations for 6 weeks. My landlord locked in my lease for 5 years. A national magazine offered me the cover, 10 chefs who survived the fire. And then, exactly 1 year later, the invitation arrived. Gold-foiled, sealed with the family crest. You are cordially invited to Adrian and Mara's engagement brunch. I laughed. And then I dropped it into the blender, because by then, I was cutting the ribbon on my second restaurant. A rooftop garden. Twice the space. Staffed by people no one else would hire, single mothers, culinary school rejects, quiet dreamers who only needed one person to believe in them. That night, after service, a woman walked in alone. Nervous, my daughter wants to be a chef, she whispered. But she's terrified she won't be good enough. I placed a menu into her hands. Tell her this, I said. They told me the same thing. And still, I built this. So if you're watching this wondering whether your dream is too fragile to survive the people who doubt you, remember this, family doesn't define your worth. Showing up does, and when they don't show up? You build anyway, because sometimes the sharpest revenge is simply refusing to disappear.